Thank you for coming, and please, let's welcome Monsieur Emmanuel Faber. Emmanuel, all yours.
Thank you, Elena. Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being with us today on this so important moment in the history of Danone, 100 years. Not only looking at the very rich past of our company, its vision, its passion, its ability to adapt to so many different circumstances all along the last 100 years, but really also about opening the next 100 years, which is, I think, mostly what we are going to do all together today. I would like to thank the kids for basically putting very simple ideas, putting very simple questions with no fear. And probably it's not only by chance that we at Danone have chosen this visual more than 10 years ago of a kid looking at a star, because this is the way we'd like to be, humbly, genuinely, simply, believing that there are still living in each of us, including the executives, the managers, the people engaged in the transformation of Danone, in delivery of the Danone promise every day. There is still this little kid that's able to ask the right question, to question the way we do things, because we've been doing things for years and we've been taught to do things for years, but yet they may not be the right thing to do. So yes, they are asking the right questions. And the true answer is yes, they're right. The food system still delivers and has delivered wonders over the last 50 years to take people out of hunger, to deliver lower costs on getting the intake that we humans need for just make a living. That has been, in the same time, the cause probably, and certainly going together with a change in the life that many people live around the world. There are 2 billion people now that are either overweight or obese. There are more than 500 million of people that suffer non-communicable diseases like diabetes. So how can we say that with that we have a system that will work for the long term? So there is an urgency to complement that system, and in many ways to fix it, to reinvent it. So who is going to do that? Of course, the people. We do not, I think, the people in this planet, they do not need fundamentally companies like ours. I'm sure they can invent many things by themselves, and actually that's what they're doing. Many are turning away from large brands, large retail shops, and they're finding other ways. Farmers will invent new ways to farm by themselves. There are new generations of farmers, but also people that truly see now what we didn't see before, the limits in the system, the consequences on the environment, the loss of biodiversity, which impacts the cost of farming because nature works for us, fundamentally. That's the essence of what biodiversity means for farmers. Social entrepreneurs, Ashoka, many others, this program that we've just seen, talking about education and how kids can change the world in their energy and the passion that they can put at work here. But also smaller brands disrupting large brands like ours. Yet, that's not the end of our world. That cannot be the end of the large brands, the ones that have been built with the trust, the confidence of millions of people, employees, stakeholders, consumers around the world for so many years. It's the end if they do not change. But I don't think that we'll go fast enough in reinventing the system if only there are small initiatives. We need to be part of not being seen only as part of the problem, which is a collective problem, but part of the solution, which have to be collective solutions. So we at Danone, and as in many other companies, have been trying to do this for years, literally for years, for decades sometimes. In the way we are working with our farmers, going for regenerative agriculture. When a company like Danone decides in the US, facing soil depletion all over the place, the loss of biodiversity, to reintroduce biodiversity by exiting GMOs on half of our production and creating something different between organic and GMOs, conventional cereals, for the feed of the cows of the farmers we work with in the US. In 2 years, we are transitioning $1 billion out of the GMO system in the US. This is only something that a leading company can do. So being a 100-year-old company, we can feel that it's a lot of the past that we have to embark, that it will slow us down, that it will drag us back. Yes, this is probably true, and this is actually certainly true. But I'm also deeply feeling with my colleagues that there is a lot that we have learned. There is a lot that many of the smaller initiatives don't have yet that we have had. We have had the resilience of 100 years of change at scale, a culture of adaptability, a culture of growth of organizations and doing things at scale that are also huge levers to contribute to the solutions of tomorrow. And this is where we need to find our inspiration, continue to find the inspiration of our previous leaders with their huge visions, big dreamers, but also how pragmatic and deep on earth they were walking to make sure that this was a reality through the products that they've designed, the brands they've developed, the companies they've built around the world. And yet, I think we need to start this very first moment of our next 100 years. We need to pay a lot of attention to the drawbacks of being a company that is that large, a food system that is as large and complex as the one we have today. Our information systems, information technology, communication systems, they harmonize the way we speak. I speak English today. Food is not English. We work with huge programs. They are all over the place in IT. They basically format the way we process things, and therefore the way we do things. And the way we do things is basically designing the way we look at the world. We have a tool, and we believe this is the solution for the world. The food safety, which we have been immensely proud of participating in establishing around the world with the Global Food Safety Initiative, all over the place, is a fantastic tool to avoid big problems. But it is sterilizing the biodiversity. It's standardizing and focusing only on a few species, the one we know, the one we believe they're sure. But if we only use 3 potatoes from Peru and export them for the big crisp makers, well, this is not paying a tribute to the potential of the 3,000 species of potatoes that grew in Peru. And the same goes for tomato in North America, and the same goes actually for milk. We are milking cows, Holstein, all over the place. Tomorrow, there is a risk. The risk is systemic risk. The day we have a problem on one of these, we have a global problem. And the same goes for thoughts, for the way we share our thoughts, in the language we use. And I would even go further, the way we share our emotions. Social media and these little things that we all have in our fingers when they are not in our pockets, they're great to communicate. But using emoticons, I'm just sterilizing my emotions. I'm standardizing my emotions. So unless we believe that we need to refound the fundamentals of what food is truly, its cultural nature, its social nature, I think we are missing the point. And the one thing that I think as a company, if we want to be part of the solutions for tomorrow, that we will have to fight against is this ability that we have to standardize. I think we will have to learn even more than we do today, how to protect, even to nurture, the richness of diversity. The diversity of food cultures, the fact that in Barcelona, in Madrid, in different places in China, we are not eating the same way, north of China and south of China, in Japan, and in so many other countries in the world. This is fundamentally what will make the resilience of the food system long-term. Long-term. The same goes with agriculture. Regenerative agriculture is a fundamental part of the solution tomorrow. The biodiversity, the number of species or varieties that we're using. Each time there is IP built on living organisms, we know statistically that's a fact, that diversity is declining. How can we support systems that are more open? And the same on what I just said about our thoughts. How can we develop a culture as a company that really encompasses the diversity of who we are, of who you are, all over you as our partners? This is why we started this One Planet, One Health program, and then we went through this governance change at Danone, where we are trying to embark 100,000 of us, having a voice on how we are going to monitor our progress towards our 2030 goals. 100,000 of people have been consulted last year at Danone. We gathered 500,000 information, locally rooted information, to build on what is a priority locally for our goals. And the same goes with the fact that there are now, or there will be, end of this month, all of us will have one share in the company. All of us will be co-owners of that company, symbolically, so important. Because facts, figures are so important, but what's missing is symbols. And the one thing I would like to share with you is that we've been thinking about how to mark this morning as the first day of Danone's next 100 years. So we made a decision. We came to realize that fermentation has been there for thousands of years in the history of human food. And everyone is now rediscovering the power of fermentation as a natural process to protect, but also to enhance the nutrition elements of food. Probiotics have more than 100 years of life in the science world. And we know now that there is a consensus about how important they are for human metabolism, but for a lot of other very interesting applications. So the decision we've made is that we realized that as a company 100 years old, as a brand born here in Barcelona 100 years ago, probably one of the most important treasure that we have been assembling as a company is the collection of 1,500 strains, ferments, bacteria that we have developed. We're only using a fraction of them today. And we know, talking to a number of people like you in this room, scientists, farmers, innovators, startups, that they could have many more applications than the one we found in our products. So our decision has been that we will open this collection, open source, starting today, for research. For research that can be about food application and how can we improve the nutritional value of food through the fermentation, through the strains that we are using. It will be applicable for non-food as well. We know that fermentation can reduce the methane emissions of cows' rumination. We have insights that it can serve the purpose of enhancing and enabling soil restoration, the life of microorganisms in soil, which is so important for the future of agriculture and therefore food. So we believe that even for us internally, this mindset of opening what we probably have assembled as our biggest treasure is an important move to build a world, a food system, where we would be consistent with our B Corp ambition. We would be consistent with our One Planet, One Health ambition. But most importantly, we would be consistent with the fact that we cannot do that alone. We need many people. We need the science, the energy, the passion, the knowledge of many other people to do that together. The first of them will be Institut Pasteur, who has welcomed this initiative, who is actually hosting part of that collection. and will facilitate that process. And I would like to thank them for this. With that news, I'd like to welcome you again in this very first day of the next era for Danone. Thank you all for starting that era all together, and I hope you'll have a productive day. Thank you.